Welcome to Manifest This, believer versus skeptic. We're looking forward to speaking to our listeners today. So, Jennifer, what are we doing today that's interesting?
Well, I thought we would dive into a law, and we haven't talked a lot about laws so far. So, this is the law of assumption. It's one of the most powerful, and if anybody does know about it, it's very misunderstood, a misunderstood teaching out there. It comes by way of a very prominent, one of the first, I would say, thought leaders on manifestation. His name is Neville Goddard. And I swear to you, if you can get into the practice of this, it's changed my life. It can change your life.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the law of assumption, and Jennifer's the believer, as you could clearly hear, and I'm the skeptic. So I'm going to make sure we don't float off into the clouds. I've read some of Neville Goddard's stuff. I've watched some YouTube videos, and I listened to it, of course, on the advice of Jennifer. And honestly, I've got to say, when you want me to assume what's already true and poof, it shows up, it feels a little delusional to me.
Yeah. Um, so today we're going to walk through what it actually means to assume, not wish, not hope, but assume something into being. And the difference changes everything.
Okay, and we're not going to live with assume it makes an ass out of you and me. It's something more believable than that.
Not today. That's right.
Good to know. Okay, so what is the law of assumption?
Okay, so Neville taught us that what you assume to be true becomes your reality. And it's not about positive thinking, because I know that's where we end up in this podcast a lot. Is like, isn't it just positive thinking? No, it's not. It's about becoming or embodying. I had a lot of trouble with the word embody for a long time, so I'm going to try and debunk that too. Embodying the belief before the proof. You literally have to become the version of you who already has the thing.
Okay. So it's not daydreaming, like walking around believing I'm going to become a millionaire and boom, my bank account just magically agrees.
Correct. It's not pretending, but it's literally shifting into a new state of being. Neville says that consciousness is the only reality. So if you can accept something as true in your imagination and persist in that assumption, the outer world conforms to it.
Okay, so I have a question. If consciousness
Okay.
creates reality, which is what you've
Yeah.
told me,
Yes.
then we go back to how do we explain random tragedies or illness or oppression? So do
Well,
people just assume that into their lives too?
yeah, like I don't know whether it's random, but we're not going to have that discussion today because I don't know what's going on in that person's head to attract such energy. And listen, this is a way that I remind myself that this is an energetic game, right? So the consciousness of being has a specific energy and frequency around it. And I'll tell you the example that I've lived in my life that I think other people could test. Whenever I pull out my yoga mat, and I am not a gentle, unfrazzled, quiet person. I have energy, I am loud, I have opinion, I have a definite aura around me. And people remind me of that all the time. When I pull out my yoga mat and I take a minute to get into consciousness, to bring my energy into a more flowy state, I'm actually practicing the letdown of my nervous system. Do you know what comes around almost immediately?
What's
My
that?
two cats. My two cats. My two cats, which normally are running from me because I love them so much and I want to gobble them up, they come to me on the yoga mat and they weave around my arms and they weave around my legs. And I let them, and I don't try to gobble them up because I recognize that my energy has pulled them towards me in a very gentle, safe, I'm now safe to be around way. Now, I know that's a bit of a sidebar, but the point is there is an energy around becoming. And
Okay.
that energy attracts other things that we want in our life.
Say that cat analogy for me works quite well because I am a cat person. And I look after people's cats when they go away on vacation, and I absolutely adore them. But, it's the one thing I notice when I am calm and breathing and relaxing. You could do those slow blinks to cats, and they slow blink back at you to show that they trust you. But there's also that moment where and some of the most interesting cats will jump on your tummy as you're sitting down or into your lap and start making biscuits because they find you to be safe.
Bingo.
And I get there's a consciousness that you have to ensure that you're safe. I'd also argue, random with me too, is little kids and babies love me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the goofy face, it's the whatever it is. And I'm not a kid person necessarily, but they respond. So I wonder, as you talk about energy, if all those pieces come together.
Yeah. And I mean, if there's any skeptics and non believers out there, why does it happen with the energy of a cat and a, like, cats run from me because they know I want to gobble them up? Why is it then when I change my energy that they want to come towards me? And that, in a nutshell, drop the mic, is manifestation. When
Okay.
your energy matches that of the thing that you want, instead of chasing, grabbing, begging, and just being, the thing will come to you. Mic drop, end of podcast.
Well, I think we've got a
Seriously.
little more time to chat here. We're
I
like
know.
8 minutes in and we're
So,
done.
so just to wrap up that segment, we're not faking it anymore. We are being it. And it's taken me a long time to wrap my head around this. So maybe this is part one of a lot of parts to come. But when you assume it is so deeply, the universe starts to treat it as a fact. And that's not fake. That is powerful.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is not I want it, but it's already mine. So tell me about that.
So, this is Neville's biggest teaching, to live in the end. Not I want it, but it is already mine. You walk the talk, you feel it from a place of already being done. So, I'll give you an example. If I want a lover in my life, lover, boyfriend, husband, whatever you want to call it, companion in my life, and I can visibly see he's not here, if I start to act as if he's here, for example, I make room in my closet because he's here and he can't get a suit in there right now. It's jammed. I start setting the table for two. My energy is now in a place where I believe that it's already mine. I'm making space for him. I'm setting a table for him. I bought new bed sheets for him because we're going to be in that bed in no time. My bed is ready. My closet's ready. My dinner table is set for him. I'm already thinking about menu items that I think will feed. I love to cook. Like, I love to cook for men too. I don't know why. But, I'm already thinking of menu items that I think he will really enjoy. And I'm having fun without him. So that's the whole point. Like, why do we wait for the feeling of what we think that thing, man, love, health, wealth, will give us? We can feel it now.
Okay, so I'm going to give you go on the other side of this. And what reminds me of this is, Miley Cyrus, I could buy myself flowers because
Totally.
on the weekend, I had a pretty tough, well, just before the weekend, a pretty tough physio session. And I knew I was close to a florist here in Penang that does the wholesale stuff. And I love going in there. I used to always find a way to go in there. And I thought, oh, the hell with it. I'm just going to go in there and buy myself flowers. And I went ahead, I did that. I came home. I decided I was going to, for the first time, try ikebana, which is the Japanese art of flower arrangement. So I had picked up a little something that would help me along, and I made myself not only a big vase, but a little piece of art that went with it. All of this to say, it wasn't with the idea of someone else, it was with the idea of spoiling myself. So if you're a modern woman or man and you think, really? Like, I can buy myself flowers.
Yeah.
Where does that fit in all of this?
Totally think it's exactly the same thing because whether the flowers came from somebody else, I mean, I've never done this myself, but I would, is to send yourself flowers. So call up the florist, tell the florist you want them sent to Jennifer, and you write the note of what you want to have written to you. You write it yourself. When the flowers arrive, you still feel awesome and they're still in your house and they're still beautiful, and you can assume that feeling now without the thing you think you have to get it. It's all
Okay.
about feeling the feeling now. And I think that's great that you went out and got yourself flowers. Why don't, I mean, I do it all the time because I love them so much. If I had waited around for a guy to bring me flowers, I waited a long time. My husband wasn't a flower buyer. And then, like, I bought them all the time for myself. Even if you have someone doesn't mean you're going to get flowers.
That's true. I'm also thinking that if I start thinking about a dinner for two, I'm gonna be making dinner for two and eating a dinner for two.
Totally. So, getting back to the law of assumption, if we treat ourselves well, if we love ourselves, if we feel good when we go to bed at night, for example, we're teaching the universe how we expect to be treated. And so,
Okay.
when that love, he, she, they, it comes along, you've already practiced what you expect from love. And I
So
think that it's a really good idea to get into the practice of that.
so you're basically frameworking that shift in identity first.
100%.
Okay.
Why would you wait for someone else to treat you the way you want to be treated when they're in your life? Treat yourself like that now.
And that relates to law of assumption because you deserve it.
Yes, and if we think about the energy, get back to the cat analogy, which I think is going to be a great analogy going through this podcast. If you think about the energy that we created on the yoga mat that brought the cats around, you're creating that energy when you treat yourself well, when you spoil yourself, when your energy says I love me.
Hmm.
The universe, God, source will just continue to give things that love you.
Okay, so let's say I'm willing to try. I want to know some techniques to support this. What do I have to do? What's the actual practice?
So there's this acronym that I have to say, I did a little research on this. I have to say, I actually never used this acronym, but I think it might be helpful. So it's SATS, SATS, which stands for State Akin to Sleep. It is a meditative sleepy state, which is why yoga works, back to the cats, where your conscious mind quiets down and you're now impressing your subconscious mind where you visualize. So, for example, in the morning when you wake up, everybody talks about this if you follow anyone in this material. They will talk about what, when you first wake up in the morning, get up, go to the bathroom, come back, you're still in that drowsy, I haven't quite woken up state. Go back to bed or sit on your yoga mat. That is the best, I call it moldable, malleable state. Think of your energy at that point as very moldable, right? It's like you literally can mold it into things. That is the state where we start to impress upon our mind, our subconscious mind mostly, the things we want in life. And it is in that state, sleepy, drowsy, woozy, where we can start to impress on our mind living in the end.
Okay, so here's a question.
Okay.
Isn't there a danger of having some spiritual ego here? Like you're walking around like you're royalty before you've actually done the work. Wouldn't that make somebody insufferable or out of touch?
Well, no. I mean, only if you do. If you're insufferable and out of touch in walking the streets, then yeah. But I'm talking about in the quiet space and the privateness of your own pillow and mind.
Okay.
If you imagine, you know, for example, back during COVID, I've told this story before. I walked in my neighborhood. I caught a glimpse of a ravine behind a house. And I said to myself, my next house is going to be on a ravine. And that was it. And I kept walking. And then in that malleable state, I actually thought about what would my life look like if I lived on a ravine? It would be so great because I'd wake up in the morning and I would see this green vista, just like when I was a little girl and we lived on a cornfield. And all I could see is green from one ear to the next. No pun intended, corn. Um, and I started to envision, I could see it in my mind, and that started to impress my subconscious mind. And guess what? I live on a ravine in Toronto. No more than 3 years later did that happen, without force, without pressure.
Okay, I'm sure lots of people have done this. It's just a long weekend in Canada, so it's one of those things where you sit around the fire with your favorite beverage and have this chat. If I won $1 million, what you would do with that? How
Yep.
is that different from the law of assumption and it actually being something that comes true as opposed to fantastical?
So one of the biggest differences is this isn't just a statement we're making. Oh, if I had $1 million, I'd buy me a car. This is watching it and you're in it. You are the main character. You're the director, the producer, and the writer of this movie. You get
Okay.
to decide where you go, what it is, how you buy it. You are it. You are everything in this movie. And the biggest piece is you've got to feel it. So let's say, for example, You wanted to speak around the world on cruise ships, which Sharon, you do, right? And let's say before this actually came to pass, you could envision yourself in that dreamy state, up on a stage with your topic of choice, looking out at the audience, looking at their smiles and their claps and their applause, and you literally could feel what you would feel if you were on that stage in real life. That's it. That's the practice. And when you feel those good feels, the universe just says, okay, I got a match for that.
Mm-hmm.
And they
But
send it forward.
what if I don't believe it? I mean, I can imagine it, but deep, deep down, my mind still says, yeah, right.
That could work for you because there is this element of attachment. So if you have a deep attachment to this thing that you want so badly, this happens I happen to be chatting with a lot of want to be mothers right now, and they're so attached to this idea of having a baby and not having a baby and their body not doing what they want it to do to have this baby. They're so attached to the outcome, the attachment kills the dream. And anything that comes via the universe usually comes easily and without, you can't be attached to it, because if you're attached to it, it means you're living in a lack world because you don't have it. And what we know about the universe is everything that we want already exists. It's there. The baby's there, the car is there, the TED Talk is there, the cruise ship is there. They're all there. The Ravine lot is there. This lot didn't get built for me. The house was built in the 70s. I had to call it into my life through energy.
So are we just basically trying to brainwash ourselves?
Yes, I think we are. I think there's an element of brainwash here. I think there's an element of having to get into that brain of yours that has been so molded and so twisted by parents, by educators, by culture, by friendships and attachments and relationships. We do have to get in there and brainwash ourselves every day. I mean, I get up every morning, and the first half an hour of every day I spend, I'm brainwashing myself into the positive.
Right.
So I do believe that there's some brainwashing involved.
Okay. So, real life examples. You were just telling me something amazing, and we started to have a conversation about that before we started recording. So, there's something there that I think is kind of cool.
Right. Well, yeah. So in my own life, I've been through a divorce of 9 years now. I was married for 26 years. I have two gorgeous children from that marriage, and the divorce was really hard on all of us. And, it caused the kids to feel really, really bad, some really tough emotions. And I ended up moving in with my boyfriend eventually, 9 years after the divorce. And that was really hard for my daughter. um, and for the first 4 years, I felt the hardness. I took it on. I couldn't do anything right. I couldn't get her to come back. I couldn't get that relationship where it was. I really felt like I had broken the relationship. In the last 6 months, I know better. I know better. But in the last 6 months, I started living in the end. And what does that mean? I started expecting great conversations. I started expecting great visits. I started expecting all the things we used to do to just magically roll back into our life again. I started showing up without, you said, are we brainwashing? Or sorry, you said earlier we were talking about attachment. If you think about the actual physical energy around being attached to something, I want it, come to me, I need you so badly. Nobody wants to be around that, right? That nervous, let down, disappointed, it's not in my life energy. Nobody wants to hang around that. But if you open up the body and the mind and just say, listen, everything's fine. I'm just going to act as if everything is fine, even if she doesn't. Not easy, people. Even if she doesn't. And last night, and this isn't just the first night, this has been 6 months of bliss. It's back, right? And my daughter's 24, so she doesn't live with me anymore anyway. But now I invite her like I always did. I make a beautiful dinner like I always did. And last night she said to me, Mom, can we watch some Sex in the City? Because that's become our thing. And I had kind of forgotten about even bringing it up last night. Again, forgetting is a beautiful, magical piece of manifestation. I wasn't gripped to it. I didn't force it. I didn't even bring it up. And she brought up, can we watch some Sex in the City? And so the two of us sat on the couch like old times. And I didn't make a big deal about it. But inside, I was like, we're there. We're back.
So, what I'm hearing too is use the word expectation because you expect it to be in a certain way. but I'm also hearing it's expectation without attachment.
Yeah.
And, I'm sort of imagining that cat analogy again, right? It's like we all come around in our own time when we're ready,
Yeah.
without, on the other person's side, that
Yeah.
foreboding sense of, no, this person wants A, B, and C from me, and I don't feel comfortable with that. So I'm less likely to
Totally.
come around.
We do it ourselves and we all do it because we love so hard. We want so hard. We
Yeah,
hurt so badly. We all
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
But if you can think about that analogy for everything in life, nothing wants nothing, no thing, no one
yeah,
wants to hang out with that energy. And so, no baby to be. And I'll tell you about the babies that I did see around nervous Nelly mums. Guess what the babies were? Colicky, crying, wouldn't sleep. They picked up on their mom's energy.
right.
And I hate to say it, moms, but you have a lot of responsibility that the dads don't have here because your energy is the call in. Now, if you and your husband or boyfriend or partner or whatever, donor, can be on the same wavelength, even better. But nothing, no one wants to hang out with that grabby, insecure, worried, fearful, anxious energy. Nothing does.
Well, and I'd go a step further, and I'd say that if you are the partner of someone who is the primary in terms of looking after the kids, then your responsibility is to ensure that there's balance for the primary as well, so that they have the space in a sometimes very difficult time during newborn and little kids to be that way and be calm and be in the right energy as well.
Yeah, for sure. That,
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm intrigued. I'm still a little cautious, but there's something powerful in choosing your identity before the world confirms it.
Yeah, like why would you wait for the world to confirm that you're worthy because you have a boyfriend? I have a friend going through a, very sad long-term breakup. Long-term relationship is breaking up right now. And I said to her, "What's your biggest worry?" And she said that I will never meet anyone ever again and that people will treat me differently. And I said,
Mhm.
Why would people treat you differently?" And she said, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it, Jennifer. You start not getting invited to the same parties and you start." And I said to her, "Is that what your expectation is? Because I promise you, if you start expecting to be invited and have the energy of invitation and not caring one way or the other, and in other words, we're talking about let go of the attachment, be happy anyway, feel like someone that's always invited to the parties, with or without a guy or a gal, you're bringing that on. Get rid of the energy."
Well, and heck, throw the party yourself. Buy yourself
Totally.
flowers.
Exactly.
Okay, that's great, Jen. I think we're going to talk about this a little bit more because I think you've got a few more things to teach us about this. So why don't we hold off until next week? And for everybody who's listening, thank you very much for joining me. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, please smash that subscribe button and join us when you can. And we'd love to hear from you at info@truthanddare.ca. Talk to you soon, Jen.
Bye.